What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. So Donald Trump wants to bring more white people to America. He wants to curtail America's immigration policies towards more white people. You know, they need to be rescued. More white people, English-speaking people, you know, European people and all that. And of course, you know, this is under the backdrop of all those young white Republicans, that some of them didn't look very young, you know, getting caught saying that, you know, all manners of racist and actual xenophobic things on their little social media thing, and they're getting caught. And then the vice president saying, oh, boys will be boys. You know, that's nothing. Young whippersnappers just saying whatever, you know, totally dismissing it, even though he was just getting upset that people had a criticism for Charlie Kirk, you know, but those weren't boys just being boys. And all the plethora of open racist stuff that we got going on here in America and globally. This is not just relegated to America. You got Europe. The white people there are becoming more tribalistic, more xenophobic, you know, more racist on all the levels, right? And I think it's just indicative of the time that we find ourselves in, you know, and we find ourselves in the time where white supremacy is losing its power. It's coming to the realization that it can no longer hold on to its power, and that the status quo just won't suffice. You know, like if you were to take the inertia of what their ancestors did has slowed, right? It has reached a point to where the resistance is becoming stronger than the initial force, if you get what I'm saying. The last couple generations have been able to coast on the backs of what their ancestors did, which is unapologetic white warmongering. Unapologetic warmongering. They were those white folks who created, you know, this modern society by stealing all modern technologies and processes from everybody else who already had it before these savage barbarian Neanderthals came along and just took it under the guise of cannons and guns and fully automatic weapons. You know, they put all that hard work in, right? And now these ones who are supposed to reap the benefits, you know, of that, they stop doing that for the most part. I mean, countries are still imperialistic. I mean, America's still clearly doing things, right? But it's only to a certain point. You know, it's not like in its full European totality. It's not in its full power. Plus, something that they did not think was going to happen, which I don't know why. I don't know which strategists they were using. You know, I don't know what, you know, I don't know who they were using. I guess they assumed that the rest of the world was just going to allow white people to continue their cultural practices. It's not the case. Right, so now we're at a point where America's losing power, right? White America's losing power. You see, America, this landmass that existed before white people, it will be here after white people. And it will be named something else. It will be called something else. Its people will think a different way, right? That's just a fact. That's a fact of life. No matter what part of the land you're on, that's a fact. And so we got these white people who they have their avatar Donald Trump. And see, this all really started with Barack Obama. This started when he ran, right? Now keep in mind, when I say white people, I mean there are white people who are part of the club of white, because remember, white is not a real race of people. Europeans are real, right? And they have different ethnic groups and different cultures, right? But white people is not real. White people, I guess you would say, is pan-Europeanism, right? Under the guise of rape, murder, and pillage and domination, right? But the people who subscribe to whiteness, right? The ones who want to live in an all-white town, who want all white people to be in charge, who believe Christianity is a white religion, which it is. Christianity itself is white because Christianity was created and pushed by Constantine, right, in order to control the masses, because the other religions were not, they weren't good enough to corral the people into one mindset. But a monolithic religion of Christianity, which wasn't monolithic until they modified it to be monolithic, was easy to corral, the masses for his agenda, of dominating the Mediterranean and them savage barbarians in Europe that he called, right? So Christianity is technically a white religion. So is Islam. So is Islam. All that Abrahamic shit's white people, right? That's just even Islam is waiting for Jesus Christ to come down, right? He's the guy who's supposed to, in Islam, Jesus is the one who's supposed to come down at the end times and save humanity and fight the Jews. So for real, the people that should be on each other's side is Islam and Christianity against the Jews. I mean, for all purpose, for all, because they all both of them is waiting for Jesus to come and destroy the Antichrist, which is supposed to be the Jews, and the Jews is waiting for their Jesus, which I guess is the Antichrist of the Muslims and the Christians, right? But whatever. But so we find ourselves in a situation where white people, right, and that advantage of that gun, because remember that gun, that gun and cannon gave them a great head start. But like any, some people may not know this, but even if you have a head start, don't mean you're gonna win the game, right? Because you're just not fast enough. And white people are not fast enough. They've never been fast enough. And they're slowing down, right? Because of the way they construct society, which is capitalism, right? Slavery, right? By another name, modified. The people who live in that society cannot produce babies. So they can't produce any more peasants. They can't produce any more middle management police officers. They can't produce any more, middle management lawyers and judges and all these things they need within their apparatus to maintain white supremacy. And because they have gotten lazy, excuse me, they have gotten lazy, they have subcontracted, right, a lot of these positions to POCs, right? They've and black folks who are part of their program, right? Their subcontracting program. And then we get to the point to where even the white racists, it's not even all the way white by their own definition, right? Well, Barack Obama is the reason. When Barack Obama became the president, and it wasn't just because he became the president, it was everything that happened before it. The excitement of the world. Let's not forget. And we weren't looking for Barack Obama to become America Jesus. All right. I don't know. Some black people are mad at Barack Obama because he didn't become the America Jesus. Right? Because even back then, even a lot of people who voted for Barack Obama still don't know they don't know shit about politics. They just saw a black guy and they thought he was going to save the world. Right? They don't realize he was only one guy. President does not have authoritarian powers. Right? And can't just make shit happen. Can't sprinkle fucking, everything to be great. Right? So the reaction of the world, the reaction of Asia, the reaction of Africa, the reaction of European countries that didn't have anything to do with European imperialism, the reaction of South America, what that said to the rest of the world. Because remember, white people spent a lot of time, a lot of blood, a lot of treasure that didn't belong to them in teaching the entire world, as they were where they dominate the entire world, that black people specifically are at the bottom, all the way at the bottom, all the way, because white people have a complex with us black people. Ever since they seen us on our black, beautiful skin and our accomplishments that they could never measure up to, ever since they seen that shit, they've been fucked up in the head ever since. They've either admired it or they've been jealous. Because all it is jealousy. This is the ultimate, ultra perfected jealousy. Okay? This is ultra perfected jealousy. They've been morphed into just toxic, just obsession. Okay? Ever since they saw us, they have been projecting their own personal insecurities as a group of people onto us. So anything they call us has always been what they truly thought about themselves. They've placed us at the bottom. So everybody else gets to sit on our shoulders. But nobody gets to be the head, which is them, right? When Barack Obama became president, everybody said, of the United States of America, by the way, the experimental country that doesn't exist anywhere else and has never existed anywhere else. No country has been made the way America has been made. And everybody knew America is just all powerful. It was the symbol of white supremacy. It was the biggest accomplishments of white people ever in the history of their existence was America. The biggest accomplishment ever, right? Europe 2.0. And when that black man became the president, and that black man had a black wife and 2 black children, and they was in that fucking White House, that let everybody else know. But keep in mind, we're at the bottom. That let everybody else know that they also can do it too. That clicked in the minds of billions of people. Billions. And so you had some white folks that were like, yes, we're post-racial. We finally made it. We finally made it. Because there are white people who, listen, they want to be black. And they are not jealous, but they have admiration. Sickening admiration, to the point to where they will do whatever it takes to turn their gene pool black. We know how extreme white people can get when they like some shit, right? We know that there's half white people that will love to meld themselves into the melanated world. They will love to disappear what they see as inadequacies of their white skin and white genetics. We know that, right? And it's displayed everywhere, right? And then you got the ones that they know they're not superior, but they really wish they was superior, right? And after that, white folks on the inside lost their fucking mind. And then they saw Donald Trump, a yeast-infected vaginal blood fart with gangrene. And they said, that's how I feel. That's what I'm feeling. Donald Trump. Because remember, Donald Trump, his latest claim to fame, outside of being an old 1960s, 70s playboy back in analog days when newspapers were important, he kept saying that Barack Obama was a Muslim. He wasn't born in America. He started that shit. And those racist white people appreciate it. Like, that black guy can't be legitimate. He's not the president. And then not only was he the president, but he was a successful president. Even though Mitch McConnell, the one that just fell, the one that busted ass when they asked him about ICE, right? Remember, he's supposed to be, even right now, he's supposed to be representing the moderate portion of the Republican Party now, but he was the extreme right portion when Obama was there, because he said, I'm gonna make sure that black man don't do shit. The most powerful white man outside of the presidency was Mitch McConnell, and he made sure that his party made everything difficult for Obama. Because remember, Obama wanted universal health care. Obama's real policies are very, very progressive. But in reality, you can only get so much done when you're alone by yourself and you don't have a House and a Senate to back you up, which he didn't. But he still managed to save the American economy, despite having to bail out corporations that didn't deserve bailouts. But in the real world, you either do it or you watch the country crumble and fall. That's the way the country's set up, right? So he did that. So he was successful 2 years. No real controversy. They tried. They had Beergate. They had goddamn tan suit gate. right? They really tried. They couldn't get nothing, right? Disrespected his wife, Michelle Obama. They did everything they could to get that black man out of his pocket, and they just couldn't do it, right? So it was a successful run. That boils their little blood cells. It boils them, right? So after that, they needed something to answer for that. That's where Trump came in. They didn't vote for Trump because he was a good businessman. Every politician, everyone running for the presidency is a good businessman or woman. So that don't mean shit. It's because he represented how they felt inside, right? That's why they voted for him 3 times. That's why they are foregoing common sense and disregarding all his criminality, his pedophilia, his sexual deviancy, his most likely sexual past, right? Because none of that matters. Because he's a white man, right? He's a German, by the way. His family don't got any investment in America. They come from Schnitzelwinkel, German sausages, German. That's what Nazis, okay? They're more like, they probably part of the damn Nazi oligarchs that left after World War II. More likely, a lot of them is in America, right? A lot of them came over here and became billionaires. They just brought their German freaking Jew killing money over here. That's what they did. That's what they did, right? And joined it with the goddamn former slave owner money people, right? 2 different rich white peoples, right? So you got these white people now who are not rich, right? Because keep in mind, all those rich white people, there's very few and far in between. And it's really not about whiteness, because that was a tool created by the rich people for the poor people, right? But now you got all these white folks who are realizing, right, that America will no longer be a white-dominated country. That the world is no longer going to be a white-controlled planet. Right? And this is happening in France, England. They had Brexit. Remember, England did the Brexit thing? They're so hateful and xenophobic, they wanted to disconnect themselves from the rest of Europe. That's xenophobia. Right? And Asia and Pakistan and the rest of the countries that they colonized, right, sucked all the resources to build their white Wakandas, and now they're mad that the side effect is those people they disenfranchised are coming to white Wakanda to benefit from white Wakanda, because everything that built white Wakanda belongs to them. You understand? So they're just following their stuff. And now the regular peasant who doesn't benefit from white supremacy at all, right? They are wondering, and this is in Europe, they're wondering, why is their historical homeland of Europe being inundated by brown people? Why does London look like Africa on Friday, Pakistan on Saturday, and India on Sunday? Huh? Why? It don't look like Europe. But those Europeans love to enjoy all the cuisines and culture of those people. They just don't want those people. Same with America. Everything about America is African American. Everything. You can't name a thing that's not African American that people care about, right? Yet they don't want the African American, but it's too late to get rid of us. But they can get rid of all those other ones, right? But they need those other ones to do all their jobs and work, because white folks don't want to work. They don't want to get out in them fields. There's a reason why Europeans, rich Europeans, went and grabbed Africans and brought them to America to farm. Them white folks can't do that shit. The sun don't like them. There's no amount. You see, you can fantasize all you want about the sun liking you, but in the real world, the sun does not like them. Okay? So if they couldn't do it back then, how the hell they gonna do it now? That's why them white boys not getting out in them fields, right? And picking them damn watermelon and them damn strawberries and them tomatoes and all the other things that the world likes to eat. That's why. Only them farmers who can afford hats and shit, you know, and suntan lotion and stuff like that. Only they can afford to go out there because they own the shit, right? They got an investment in it. Then you think you gonna get some white person to go out there, right, and picking strawberries and shit for fucking $2-3 fucking dollars a day or some bullshit like that? When it's suntan lotion and it's got their medical bills for burning and getting fucking goddamn cancer and shit is gonna, you know, he ain't gonna be able to pay for that shit because he ain't getting paid enough. You think he gonna go out there and do that shit? I don't think so. And they already know not to ask us. We done did this shit for free for hundreds of years, so they know not to ask us. So they got to get somebody else, somebody who can handle it, somebody who's meant for the sun. That's just what it is, right? And if you think I'm lying, look at the superheroes that we have, right? Look at the fantasies of white folks, the internal desires that they have. Let's look at Superman. Superman's a white guy, even though he's an alien, but he's white, right? He's an alien who gets his power from the sun. White folks really wish that they could go outside and get energized by that sun. And he's the fastest, the strongest, and everything. Got the fastest twitch muscles. Who's that sound like? Who that sound like? How many superheroes in all these Marvel and DC get their power from the sun? And they gotta be the fastest, the strongest, fastest twitch muscles. Then you just add sprinkle a little extra. I mean, you just really sit back and think about the things that they fantasize about as white folks. Wish they had. And why is it that all their superheroes got African American or African body frames, long torsos, long arms? They look like white folks that got black people bodies. It's the truth. Superman, he got a black person body, a natural black person's body, but he's white. That's why they give him body suits. Not even a white person playing Superman can even look like Superman because they ain't shaped that way. And that goes for a lot of the superheroes, if you have noticed. Like, you gotta go deep with this shit because they tell you their fantasies in their creativity. Just like Asian people, you watch anime. Asian men are historically very quiet, and they're not gonna pursue women, and they're very shy. So that's why if you watch any anime, it'll be the antagonist, the main character, will have all these women around him throwing themselves at him, and he acts oblivious. And he gets to pick of the bunch eventually. But he's like God's gift to any woman he's around, even though he's oblivious. That's what they wish was gonna happen. But that doesn't happen in real life. It's their fantasy, right? You can always see this stuff in anybody's creativity, right? If you look at African people's creativity, we like women. We draw big, thick women in every which way possible. But the thing is, ours is true, right? If you look at how we design things, how we do our fantasies, it's always got something to do with freedom, understanding, wisdom, things that we seek. So you can really find out about just by looking at the shit that they do on the off time for creativity, right? So we got all these white folks, you know, they're losing their minds, they're losing their population because they don't make enough babies because of the way their systems are set up. Nature doesn't want them to have more babies, so they're not even producing enough sperm, and they're having a hard time having babies even when they do find somebody or they do attempt to have babies. The sun is getting hotter, so the planet is not, you know, shit's getting worse for them when they go outside, right? The population of the people they meant to control, to cull, are growing like Africans. We are soon to take over the rest of the world. We're soon to take back the planet back. We're soon to take back the planet from our children who've been very irresponsible with it since we, you know, got complacent and allowed them to take it, right? And so now you got people like Nick Fuentes, the gay man, because he's gay. You can tell he's gay. Nick Fuentes is gay, but he's in the closet. He's hiding. He's a weirdo gay guy who couldn't get a probably man or a woman, right? And he has a whole group of in the closet gay men who are frustrated. They can't live the way they want to live, right? They don't have power. They don't have anything. This is Mexican dogs. That's why you saw him. He's not black. He's Mexican. I know he looked black, but he's Mexican, right? They don't have any purpose in life, right? And they want to maintain white power, white superiority, right? Something they never actually had. And he's a Mexican. He's an Italian Mexican. Just a few hundred years ago, white people didn't even consider him white until he decided to bend, until, you know, them Italians bended the knee, right, to them barbarian, Anglo-Saxon, Germanics, and they all of a sudden got to get the white ticket, and he's Mexican. Like I said, remember when I said that white people got to outsource their racism? That's where we at now, right? And now, if you haven't noticed, you see a bunch of little Nick Fuentes, these little guys who figured out how to be racist and how not to have to hold it in the closet, right, on YouTube and on social media without being canceled all the way. They just got to be very careful, right? They got to be very careful, but they're doing it. And then you got the ones that are Jewish, you know, the Europeans pretending to be Jewish, right? Those white supremacists. And you got the white supremacists, the Christian white supremacists battling the Jewish white supremacists. So you got the Steven Crowders, and you got the, you know, and then you got them, those are the Christian ones, and they're going against the Jewish ones, which is that freaking one, the way the yarmulke and shit, you know, and all the Jewish panderers, and none of these people are Semitic. They're all white people with different identities, because white people split themselves up via religion and politics. They've always done that. They've always split themselves up via religion and politics. Catholics versus the Protestants. And if you not notice, a lot of those European Muslims are white. Because they're Muslim too. They don't like to admit that shit. But there are a lot of white Muslims. Russia, for example. Ukraine, for example. Chechnya. All them. Hell, half of UFC, if it ain't a black person whooping their ass, it's a white Muslim whooping their ass. That's the truth, right? And so you got these white factions fighting each other over power, but they're losing. They're all collectively losing this power, but they're fighting each other over the remnants of the power that they once had, trying to regain it. But the problem is the rest of the world's not going to allow them to have it. They simply don't have the resources. They don't have the supply lines. But as an African American, I am very interested, and it's very amusing to watch these white people fight each other. It's very amusing to watch these fake Christians fight the fake Jewish people, because they call themselves Christians, right? These white Americans, they don't follow Jesus. They barely even mention Jesus. The only time they say Jesus is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That's the only time you hear the word Jesus come out their mouth. But they don't follow Jesus because Jesus wouldn't be on their side. If they saw Jesus, if there was a guy that really existed and his name was Jesus, which there was not. Now, I'm not saying there weren't freedom fighters back in that day that could inspire the character called Jesus once you add a whole bunch of different African mythologies and other older religions with the same exact stories to it. You know, I'm not saying there was no freedom fighters, you know, back then who got persecuted, because there were plenty of them, right? But if he were to come back, even based on the Bible that they created, that is a copy of the Septuagint, which is the Greek Bible, which is a copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead and Dead Sea Scrolls, right? It's a copy of a copy of a copy, right? These are facts. All right, so you black people, stop saying Christianity is black. No, it's not. It's white. It's white. The Bible comes from the Septuagint. The Septuagint comes from written scrolls that the Greeks wrote down to make their version of Egyptian spirituality and religious systems, which in Egypt, they have multiple different religions. So they just put that shit together, made their own little thing called the Septuagint. And then later on, the Anglo-Saxon barbarians made their Bible. All right. So the Bible does not belong. And Ethiopia got their shit from the Abyssinians, I think. I think it was the Abyssinians who converted the Ethiopians into Christianity. So no, it's not Ethiopian. All right. They got converted too. All right. But anyway, you got all these people that say they're for Jesus, but they saw Jesus, they will call him a Muslim or a nigger, a Muslim nigger. He wouldn't be invited to the club. He couldn't come in. He couldn't stay at none of their little white enclave communities. He wouldn't be accepted in their societies. And that's a fact. But they have their version of their religion doesn't require any truth or common sense or rationality. It's white supremacy wrapped in religion and nationalism, right? And at one point, the white nationalists and the Nazi, right? The Nazi And because you got the white nationalist American, you got the Nazi global racist, and then you got those Jews, right, who are the other whites, the financier white supremacists. They're not all getting along right now because shit ain't sweet no more. And they're fighting. And I'm enjoying it because I'm watching them fight because they're doing it online for everybody to see, right? And they don't agree on anything other than they need to survive, right? Now, what do I think about white people coming to America from other countries? Immigrating white people, immigrating more white people. As a black person, as a tactician, I'm like, sure. As a matter of fact, I don't have a problem with it. Nick Fuentes, if that's what you want, you Italian Mexican, sure. Bring as many of those white refugees that want to come here, bring them along. There is plenty of space in America. Yeah, I have no problem. Since their problem, because right now their problem is too many brown people have immigrated into America, right? Even though the reason why they immigrate to America is because of America and its European partners' global policies that destabilize and ruins their countries in order for their NGOs to go steal all the resources and riches out of that country to continue to build and maintain their white Wakandas. They don't take none of that in consideration. They're upset that the side effects of that is that people on this planet want to live a decent life and they want to survive, so they move to leverage their abilities to do so. And then they also get mad that the corporations, right, that run everything, that they defend as Republicans and Democrats, hire these people because they want to pay them less and not those good white folk that they say they care so much about. Right? So all their problems is based on their policies, based on their community and their community's nation building, their community's corporate practices. All their problems are their problems that they create, not anything that anybody else creates. Everybody else is just living and surviving just like they are, right? So yeah, bring them all. Bring all those white folks. And you know one thing? You bringing those white folks, and this is the truth, you can bring as many white people as you want to America, but it won't change the situation. It won't change your demographic decline. It won't change your lack of power and your losing of that power. You can bring as many white people as you want. I'm all for it. Matter of fact, bring every white South African from South Africa. Have them come here. From the rich to the poor. Bring them. Purge all of Africa. As an African American, I would love for you to purge all of Africa from all those poor white folks that's suffering so much because they can't apartheid on the black folks there. Bring all of those white boys to America. All of them, including their daughters. Make sure you bring their daughters. Bring all those Europeans, right, who feel like Europe is being inundated by brown and black and all that. Bring all of them to Europe if they want to come. Make sure they bring their daughters. Don't just bring them in. Bring their daughters. Now, if you bring them, now I do understand that a lot of these guys are closet homosexuals. So them concentrating fully on men does make sense. Seeing how, if you noticed, this right-wing movement kind of leaves out the white woman for the most part, unless she's used as a tool, as fodder, you know. But for the most part, this is a white male movement. You know, white men, white Christian straight men's. They like to gather together in white Christian straight men circles and jerk each other. That's what they want to do, right? But don't forget your daughters, right? I would love for you to purge Africa, all those white men. Give Africa back to the Africans. Let all those white people leave and let them South Africans have their country back. All of it. Yes, do that. I'm all for that, right? New Zealand, there were white people pretending to be New Zealanders, doing the hockey dance and shit, sticking your tongue out. When you killed those who, when they stuck their tongue out, you stuck a gun in their mouth. And now you pretend to be them. Bring all y'all come to America. All you Australians who genocided those first Africans that left 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 years ago and built a great civilization. You destroyed it all. Bring all your Australians. Bring all those Aussies. Bring those Aussies here. And there's plenty of space in the middle of America where you guys are from. And first of all, let's see if they get along. Which they won't. They will fight each other. Because they are not the same. Because white people will find a way to divide themselves up through religion and nationality. They will fight each other. They won't unify. But maybe you can get some of them Aussies whose skin are like leather. Maybe you can get them to work in the fields. Maybe you can get some of them South African boys to work in the field. Their skin's like leather too. Right? Get them in the fields. Because it's not like you're going to bring them here and prop them up and build them economically. You didn't do that to the South Africans that y'all brought last time. Y'all just left them hanging. There was nothing but a photo op. We know how y'all going to do, so go right ahead. Liberate Australia from those racist white people that believe that God gave them Australia, when it was really the British Empire that gave Australia. White people in America believe God gave them here. They believe they're native to America. They're not native. They are immigrants. They are the OG criminal illegal aliens. And they are a prime example why you shouldn't let them in your country. Because look at what they did everywhere they go. But I believe all of them should come to America. And here's the problem, though. Oh, don't forget to bring your daughters. There's still not enough of you guys to do anything. Because you coagulating your mayonnaise in one location doesn't change your demographic or economic situation. Putting a bunch of global white Europeans in the middle of America in bumhickey Kansas, Utah, Idaho is not going to combat the changing demographics of America. And if you pull those white folks from other places, all you do is move your few and far in between to one location, freeing up and liberating other places on the globe. I'm all for that, right? The only place that has a legitimate gripe is Europe, because that is your homeland. I know you white Europeans in America forgot, but your homeland, the one that God gave you, is the peninsula of Asia. That's your homeland. Nowhere else on this planet is your homeland. And the sun has told you so much over the last 100-something years, but you refuse to listen. But your homeland is that peninsula in Europe. That is where you are from. That is, God gave you that. Right? God gave you that. But God didn't give you anything else. Right? But if you're so adamant and you want to use, mental gymnastics to make yourself believe that Jesus Christ and George Washington wrote the Bible and the Constitution at the same time and gave you this country of America, bring all those white folks here. And make sure that you bring your daughters. You're going to have to bring your daughters and your wives, because that's important. Because there's nothing that's going to stop what's coming. And what's going to happen is your daughters are going to come to America and they're going to be introduced to Pedro, the Latina, that Latin man. They're going to be introduced to Lee, that Asian man. They're going to be introduced to Terrence, that black man, the one they've been watching on TV their whole lives and secretly been wanting. And when you tell them don't bring home a black man, guess what they're going to do? The exact opposite, because that's what children do. So yes, if you want to quickly change the demographics of your communities, bring them all here. Because there are plenty of African-American men that want to dabble in the European mayonnaise without having to go to Europe. Because we will, in fact, have your daughters. And that's why you ultimately, we know. And like I said, you guys always show us who you are when you get to fantasize about things. And when you get to actualize your fantasies, like, lynching black people, what is the things that y'all did? You took our genitalia, the thing you fantasize about. They used to make us eunuchs back in ancient times when they would be sold to African slaves because they admired it. They saw it as competition. They saw it as a threat, the black penis, because it represents fertility. It represents the black man, that penis. Y'all always had a problem with that shit because y'all know what we can do with that damn penis. So y'all take that shit off. Y'all take it home. Y'all look at it and shit. We see your white women on the internet with the fake black penises all through Instagram showing off. When they go to the sex store, they go to the back and they go find them a extra penis to play with. They go get the black one, the big black one, same color as Pedro here. This dog is Pedro. All right, that's his name. He's Mexican. He really is a Mexican dog. He speaks Spanish. All right, he's adopted. All right, no bull. Mexican. And the first Mexican was black anyway, so don't, you know, that's it. But yeah, so bring your daughters. They're all welcome to these United States of America. And I guarantee you your daughters will be met by many of different men, from brown men, melanated men from around the world that will enjoy the company of your European lily white snow bunny daughters. And you can't stop your snow bunny daughters from indulging in their fantasies that they've been having when they was in Europe, when they was Boers in South Africa, when they was all manners of white, lily white refugees all over the world. Let you tell it. And you're not going to be able to stop it when they go off to college, when they will go get their new job in the city, because they're not staying in these little podunk ass cities that you think they're going to stay in. Your old asses who migrate over here and brought your damn daughters, y'all going to stay in them little podunk ass old villages in the middle of America. They're going to move around. That's what's going to happen. And it's just going to speed up the inevitable. The world is becoming browner. Nature has decided that it's going to get hotter. And in order to survive, melanin is necessary. Ain't nothing you can do about it. And then there's white people who embrace it. They can't wait. They're trying to speed that shit up. Y'all got whole parts of y'all community whose goal is to have black babies, to eliminate the whiteness, the inferiority of their genetics from their system by getting with black people, both men and women. You guys talk about it. It's all over the internet. It's not like it's not a thing. It's a thing. And I know that bothers most of you weird incel white folks that just want everything to stay white and pale and shit. Right? But like I said, the only people that have a good argument is those Europeans over there in the peninsula. They got a good argument. But it's over for them. There's nothing they can do about it. Europe will be brown and then black. And then one day they'll write books like, you know, Europeans, there was a time where there was these people called white people. You will be in the history books, I guarantee it. They're gonna write our descendants will write about you guys. They will write everything. It will be 1,000 years of terror on this planet. They will write about you guys. So don't worry, nobody will ever forget you. Trust me, you'll be in a book, right? But yeah, bring them all. All your racism, all your insecurities are spewing out on the internet, on TV, and all the people in power that enable it, their time is coming up. All your leaders who you admire, they're all old, they're about to die. And they don't care about you guys anyway. They just know how to trigger you guys. You know, so I'm going to sit here and continue to enjoy all these different kind of racist people arguing online about what's the best racist way to move forward, when in fact there is no place for you in the future. While the rest of us human beings, Europeans that are humans, and understand that if you go back far enough, they come from Africa, and they were all really one group of people that have modified ourselves based on our environments, and that we all should work together so we can benefit each other, and everybody should have the ability to live a decent quality life so they can spend the majority of their life exploring the finer things in life, like, you know, stopping and smelling the roses and figuring out, you know, astrophysics and, you know, doing all that fun sciencey stuff, right? Star Trek, basically. Star Trek, right? So anyway, that's all I got to say. I know it was kind of long. It was kind of like a, you know, I don't write none of this stuff down. I just was thinking about it, and I figured I'd just talk about it, right? And now I'm about to go in the house and watch some more white folks, racist white folks, complain that the other racist white folks are not racist enough, right? And that they need to be more racist because that is what's going to benefit them in the future, is to be more racist. Okay? Anyway, You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Fuck this, fuck that, and bitch, fuck you. Fuck this, fuck shit, fuck your daddy too. No, I ain't forget your motherfucker too. Motherfucker, fuck your blood and this fuckery they got us going through. Those fuckers put us under spells. Said fuck y'all to a living hell. Fuck all the laws that nature tells. So we die cursed while they live well. But fuck, I've had it up to here. I curse their curses with no fear. I give no fucks, I'll live to hear the song that justice sings so clear.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.